I really hate Rocky 4, but I hate this movie so much more. So let's get into it. Rocky 5 was kind of a disappointing sequel. Sylvester Stallone hates this movie. Everybody hates this movie. But I don't think it's as bad as Rocky 4. And the director of Rocky, the original, agrees that Rocky 4 was terrible. So he came back to direct this movie and breathe some life into the franchise, which did not work out because this movie did not do well. It was joked for many years that there would never be a Rocky 6, and if there was, it'd be terrible like this movie. And yeah, this movie is not awful. I'm going to defend it a little bit. First of all, we still got the drama of the originals, which is something that 4 just dropped. They just threw that out the window. And I mean, because I felt nothing when Apollo Creed died in Rocky 4. I guess spoilers for a movie that's like, what, probably 30 or 40 years old. And yeah, I mean, it is just horrible how bad Rocky 4 was. Because Rocky 4, well, isn't a terrible movie. It has some enjoyable parts about it. It just loses the whole point. This movie goes back to the drama. We got Rocky. He's getting old, and he's he's gonna he's dealing with family life. He's retired, and he's just yeah. This movie really is boring. I think that's my biggest problem with this movie. It's very boring. The drama doesn't feel like the originals because it still has that goofy tone to it. All of our characters feel a lot more aggressive. Rocky has a son who solves every problem in his life by just beating people up. He's aggressive, he's violent. It doesn't feel like Rocky. This movie has the goofy tone of Rocky 4 while the intense drama, and it just leads to this movie feeling really boring because it doesn't want to decide on a tone, and the pacing just is really bad. And it just felt like, the acting was not terrible, but it just felt like nobody cared that much, and they kind of just slogged through it. Rocky has a weird subplot where he has brain damage, and now he can't fight anymore, except he goes back to fighting at the end of the movie, punches our new character, I'm forgetting the name of, because he was just very bland, and he punches him, and it becomes like a street fight, which is like, I know a lot of people complain about that, but honestly, it's like the best scene in the movie. It's like really good, uh, for a scene in this movie. Anyways, it's not like a 10 out of 10 scene, but it's not some god awful scene like everybody makes it out to be. It's a decent moment, and it's probably the best scene in this movie, and most memorable scene in this movie, mostly because it's the ending, and and the ending just happens to be the most memorable part of most movies. Honestly, if you really think about it, but yeah, this movie was just nothing. It had no substance. It had no value. It's completely been ditched by the original franchise. We no one wants to go back to Rocky 4. So join us next week when we talk about Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6. And stay tuned for more Disney Plus reviews coming this Friday. Home Alone 5, the finale of the Not Kevin trilogy of Home Alone movies that I've been reviewing. And all that coming this week. So stay tuned.